Życie, dobra. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, DevSecOps Done Right, Embedding Security Without Sacrifices. I'm Shemek and I will be your host today. It's great to see you and so many people joining us today, whether you come from product development, engineering, or management, because of today's topic really touches all those three words. The challenge many teams face today is how can we boost security without slowing down development or compromising delivery speed? There's exactly what we are going to unpack today. During today's session, you will learn how to shift security left, leverage automation and collaboration, and apply a clear three-phase roadmap from awareness throughout planning and design to action, basically. So let's get started. Please feel free to post your questions here in the chat as we go. Feel free to hit us up on the fly. We will take them during today's Q&A session, which is planned at the end of the session. So now, let me introduce our speakers, David and Marek, who will walk us throughout DevSecOps. Guys, the floor is yours. Please cheer.
Hi, I'm David Jankowski. In SII, I'm leading the Cybersecurity Competence Center. Currently, over 180 security specialists on board. I have over 20 years of experience in IT, mostly in software development and cybersecurity. Marek?
Hello everyone. So my name is Marek Natunewicz. I work as a solution and security architect in Embedded Competency Center at SII. I have over 15 years of experience in designing and programming embedded systems, and I specialize in designing and implementing various security controls, features, countermeasures, important from the security perspective directly in embedded system at low-level area. And from the beginning, my professional path has been connected to embedded system and working close to the hardware and low-level programming. Okay, so before we go into the details, let's shortly look at our agenda for today. So during today's meeting, we'll begin by addressing why we need DevSecOps. Then we'll present general concept of DevSecOps and explain the differences between the traditional and modern approach to security. In the second part, we will present a practical approach to designing, implementing, and monitoring the processes in context of the organization and projects being implemented. And finally, we will summarize and explain what can go wrong. Okay, so before we show a practical approach to implementing and recommended steps, let's answer for the first question: why do we need this?
Yes. So basically, few most important questions: why actually we need security for our products, for our applications? It can be that we just want them to be secure because any kind of breach would be for us problem. Yes, real issue. The next one, because maybe we must do this as there is some regulatory requirement, or maybe our customers require this. But there's also another question that we need to answer. Are we okay to sacrifice our time to market in exchange for security? I mean, it's like if we implement randomly security to our process, in most cases, the time to market will decrease. I saw this many times as I was even in a project when the development part was like 6 months. 6 months it took us to develop some application, but then it took us 5 months to go through this final security checklist. So another question. So how can we add this security to our process, but without affecting our development speed? Yes, we can, and the answer is DevSecOps.
Okay, so at the beginning, it's very important to explain how we understand DevSecOps and what it is in our understanding. So DevSecOps for embedded system is a cultural and technical methodology that integrates automated security practices and shared responsibility mindset through the entire product lifecycle, from the hardware design, the firmware development to deployment and automated updates over the year, then installation, and much more things which we need to perform where, for example, we have any IoT device. And also, it connected with the manufacturing process, because in embedded reality, manufacturing is the same important as other thing. But to summary, DevSecOps focuses on proactively building security and resilience into the core of the device rather than treating it as an afterthought. And the general goal here is to deliver secure, compliant, and robust connected devices and the speed of the modern development. And DevSecOps consists several important points, and we will show you and discuss those points later. And if you think about the approach to the security, and currently we can identify in context of the security two approaches. The first one, traditional, it means that security on the end, and the second one, the modern, as security shift security left. And the traditional approach to security in embedded system is still used by many companies, mirrors the old waterfall development model, where security is treated as a final isolated gate before release. And in this model, the development team completes the firmware, the hardware, integrate them, and then transferred to a dedicated security team for auditing and implementing of necessary security elements. And unfortunately, such approach often fail because the product, due to various solution use, does not allow for the quick implementation of the required changes. And if we think, for example, about the embedded system, a good example comes to mind is the secure boot, which is a very often primary solution we need to implement, and without a proper hardware, it's extremely difficult to achieve it. Okay, and the second approach, based on the shift security left principle, and it is and which is the core of the DevSecOps. So it integrates security into every phase of embedded system development lifecycle, moving it from the end to of the process to the very beginning. So security becomes a shared responsibility, not just the job of a separate team. And we can achieve this by empowering developers with automated tools, defining security requirements during the design phase, and building a culture of collaboration. And later we'll show you the details. Okay, so now let's switch to the more practical part of our presentation.
Yes. Now we know that we want to have this DevSecOps, we want to implement it, but how to do it? Typical mistake that I've seen many times is just when we think about let's have DevSecOps, then okay, so let's find some great tool, super, it has everything, then we will be secure with that. And we implement it, and after some time we have the problem that one team uses it, the other doesn't want to. We don't know how to report something, how to treat tons of false positives. So please remember that DevSecOps is not one single activity, one single tool. it's a process, and also the implementation of the DevSecOps is something that changed the whole company. So it should be treated as a project. So it should be treated with certain phases from the analysis, design, implementation, and operations. Let's start with the one thing that also often I see that the companies can have problem is, okay, so but when should we start? Where should we start? Should we start with the whole team, whole company? And the answer is it depends on the organization. If we have a big organization with many different development teams, many different product lines, it's usually worth to choose one or two product lines to be our proof of concept. And if we choose them, then we start the whole process for those two, this one, but also all other participants are engaged. We can move forward. Before we go to what to do in the analysis, there is one useful tool that I would like to share with you, and we see it's very effective during this initial stages of implementation of this DevSecOps. It's the workshops. I mean, this is the typical thing for the technical and business analyst, but it's really, really useful for our case. Here you can see on the slide sample plan of workshops that we have for that we used for one of our project of implementing DevSecOps, and there are two. Let's say that's two types of workshop that's worth to mention. First, the initial one, the kickoff, really important one. You need to gather all participants and provide them with some background, what we will do, how we will do it, and why we will do it. Also, we need to provide them with information, what will be the benefit for them, but also what activities we will require for them during this whole project of implementing DevSecOps. One also important thing is on this meeting, we should have someone that is high in our organization. Maybe if it's possible, CIO, for example. Why we need it? Because like implementing DevSecOps is not like, is a change. Not all people like change. Probably there will be many people that will not be super happy that we are changing somewhere, something in the way how they develop their product. But still, we will need their support. So it's good that we have, let's say, blessing for this person in the higher hierarchy. And also, take a look at this last workshop. So this final workshop. This is also a workshop performed for all of the participants of the future process. This is the time where we present our strategy. We present them how this DevSecOps will look like. And this is the place where we can also gather useful feedback. So let's go deeply into the analysis and requirement gathering.
Yeah. So before we start implement and integrate any tools, we need to obtain awareness of our current system we have. So, and if we imagine, for example, any IoT device or entire embedded system which belong to different domain like automotive, healthcare, or railway, the approach will be very similar at the beginning. So this phase focuses on detailed analysis and understanding of the current product development cycle, and it including all processes involved because before we can automate security or shift anything left, we must firstly deeply understand what it is we are trying to protect. And without knowing how and what is currently working, it will be very difficult to prepare a plan and define a strategy. And this phase has been divided into some subcategories, which, if properly executed, will allow us for a comprehensive assessment of the current state. And in the context of implementing the assessment system point, we can implement it in several ways. But one of the most effective process is based on the threat modeling with the risk assessment. And our approach is built on 3 pillars. So the first, system assessment, where we create a blueprint of our world. So we look at the system model, then architecture, and the technology we use, and our entire development lifecycle, and everything we connect together. And this step tells us what do we have. Then we have second step, threat modeling. We move to the second step, to the threat modeling with our blueprint in hand, and we start asking what could go wrong. And we proactively, in this step, hunt for threats, vulnerabilities, performance bottlenecks, and analyze past issue. And finally, we perform a risk assessment. Here we connect threats to business impact, and then we can ask, if this goes wrong, how bad is it? So, and this allow us to prioritize and calculate a risk. We need to be aware that we can't fix everything at once. So we focus our energy on the risk that truly matters. And to achieve this, we need to engage and implement in activities like gathering documentation, talking to people who build and run the system, as David mentioned before, and holding workshops. And this collaborative effort enable for us to build a complete shared understanding. Okay, and after building the model, we move on to identifying requirements. And the requirements gathering process will be based primarily on identifying the source of the requirements, because as you see, we can have many of them. So, however, firstly, we need to identify stakeholders from the business and the technical perspective. And for this purpose, we will need to contact various departments of the company, like contact with the production, to customer service, with the maintenance, as well additionally meet with the key customers who may have their own separate requirements. And next, the system assessment process will allow us to perform gap identification and identify any missing points. And in this category, for example, we can identify insufficient levels of automation software release, some problems with testing, some problems with firmware preparation, and many other things. And in this step, we can detect bottlenecks that could potentially generate threats or problems in the future. The various identified sources of requirements will allow us to refine the goals and key objectives. So the goals could be related to increasing the level of the product security safety, entering into new markets, or accelerating the product development process, or, for example, increasing its level of reliability. And the last category, in requirements gathering phase, is corresponds to the standard and regulations, because currently very often products are implemented on the global market. So in the context of security, and if you look at this may generate some additional complications with the need to meet several standards, and it will generally depend on the domain to which our device belongs to. And as you can see on the slide there, you can see many standards assigned to separate domains and regulation. And in the context of the product being implemented, for example, in the European Union, the Cyber Resilience Act regulation will be crucial, requiring a redesign of the entire product development cycle, and it will take effect in approximately 1.5 years. And the scope of changes it will introduce means that remaining time is short and requires companies to begin implementing the changes as soon as the possibles. And this point, summary, this point involves identifying standards and regulations that will be crucial for our product. Okay, so let's see where currently we are. So we briefly summarizing. Yeah, we select the project, then we perform analysis. So now we move to the next important step, which involves planning and defining the strategy. And this is where we take that awareness and translate it into a concrete blueprint for our DevSecOps strategy. So our goal here is to establish standards, policies, special activities, and will guide our secure development. And during the design process, we'll need to focus on implementing all required activities, establishing risk-based priorities, and designing workflows and an implementation plan. And all of these activities are aimed at design the strategy. So in our experience, regarding to the how to design strategy, it is important to base the strategy being developed on the secure software development lifecycle process, and it is required activities. So one question comes to mind. So what is the relationship between them? I like to think and explain that way that the secure software development lifecycle tells you what to do, while DevSecOps process tells you how to do it. So the secure software development lifecycle is our blueprint for security. So as I mentioned, it defines the essential security activities we must perform at every stage of the development, from the initial phase, design, requirement gathering, development, deployment, and maintenance. And it enables for us create our blueprint. But a blueprint alone doesn't implement the required points in real world. And here that's where DevSecOps comes in, and it takes the principles and requirements we defined and automates and integrates them directly into our development pipelines. And this approach, from our experience, this approach to strategy helped creating a detailed roadmap, identifying the right tools, and planning the integration to make security seamless, automated, and continuous part of our process, not a bottleneck. Okay, so if you're wondering, what activities we'll have to design and implement, so the next slide has those information. And as you can see, this slide only presents the main activities divided into groups specific for the DevSecOps, and each of these groups contains some subsequent steps that will need to be performed. But you need to be aware that there are many possible path steps you can take. So the level you want to achieve will depend on you. So the level can be defined by evaluating the implemented points visible on the screen. But however, implementation alone without a broader strategy may not be sufficient to achieve the set goals. And David just in a while provides some details how using only tools without a broader plan and the strategy I mentioned may not achieve much beyond than checking of points from your checklist.
Okay, so we have our strategy, probably the most important document or set of documents in our projects. We now have our clear vision and the roadmap, how we will further implements our DevSecOps process. It contains like information where in the process we will put security gateways. It contains information about roles, responsibilities, about the training plans, about the tools that we will use, how we will report them. And of course, at this point, we will have some detailed plan how we will further implement. This is really probably this is crucial for decision maker, because at this point we can or the company can estimate the cost of actual implementation of the licenses, etc. We can move further. Also, there is one additional thing that the strategy should contain. This is the success criteria. I mean, we want to know if we succeeded in implementing our pilot. We want to know if we succeeded implementing DevSecOps for our organization, and we want to know if this process actually works for our company. Also, creating these measurable KPIs of success have one additional benefit. Without this common problem, we have KPIs for developers, KPIs for security, KPIs for ops. Sometimes there are contradictions, like developers want to develop in a given time. Security want to have this software secure. It doesn't matter if it won't go live in a desired date, it has to be secure, etc., etc. And there are many KPIs that we can use as to measure the success. Here you can find some sample that I took from the list that we use with our customers. So, for example, security toolchain integration rate. So the percentage of how many our CI/CD pipelines contain automatic scans. Also, the really important release cycle time. So the average time from plan, build to deliver and deploy. This will tell us if actually we added DevSecOps without sacrificing time to market, or maybe we didn't. The next part, the security gate pass rate. So the percentage of builds passing all automated security checked without manual intervention, usually combined with the KPI of number of exceptions taken in the process. This will give us, like, let's say, this is good indicator if our process is working properly. If we start to have more and more manual activities, it means that we have a problem either with the tool or with the knowledge of the people how to use them. And another, for example, vulnerability detection rate. So the percentage of critical vulnerabilities that were available to the team during the development phase was found during the development, in contrast to them that were found on the live environment. Okay, we can move to the next step. So now we go to the implementation, starting with security by default culture. We can move to the next slide. Yeah, so basically, I know that this security as default culture is some kind of a buzzword, but it is important. I mean, we want to have the situation that all of the engaged people work in the environment that inspires them to take responsibility for the security of whole product. And we want to create bridges between security department and the development department. So because without that, we really we have the situation, I've seen this many times, that security department is frustrated. Why those developers, they have the requirements, why don't they use them? But the same developers, okay, why this security guy is so picky on us? It's really, for me, it's not important. It won't happen anyhow in life. Yeah, so we want to have bridges between them and be sure that all of them think about both developing on time and the security. How we can do that? First, we should start from higher management. This thing should be also in the mind of the management. The high people are also responsible for the security of our product. Then we need to train our people. We need to train developers, both in the context of the tool that we introduce. I mean, it's hardly difficult to find what can go wrong in the DevSecOps process, like bigger issue than the fact that the developers and the people engaged doesn't know, they don't know how to use the tools and just break the process. But also we train them in the context of the security. So increase their security knowledge. And it doesn't need to be like really extensive training. Just for example, if we have web application, then train them with the OWASP top 10. If we have mobile, train them with mobile top 10 vulnerabilities. We can also add some launch security champion program. So choose one of the person of the development team and skill up the security knowledge of this person. And then this person will be like supporting other devs in case they have some question related to cybersecurity. Yeah, and with these steps, we will finally achieve the situation that all people thinks about security and all people thinks about the time to market. We can move to the next slide. Finally, the technical part. So this is the part when we want to introduce some tools, some security gateways to our existing process. And this is also the place where we see what benefits we have from previous activities that we wanted to carefully choose the teams that will be used for our proof of concept approach. I mean, if we have already a team that have DevOps processes, they have CI/CD pipelines, then for us it's like much easier to implement security gateways. For example, if we have code review in our process, then it's not very difficult thing to add some security points to be checked during code review. If we have some static analysis tools that analyze the quality of written code, then we add also the rules for the security checks. The same if we have automated scans, automated tests for functional tests, we can add some dynamic security testing there. It's also worth to notice that you need to think about that it may not be possible just to say, okay, I will introduce those tools in our process and we are ready to go. It may happen that you will need to do it to decide, for example, the lowest, the MVP approach, and then further implement some stricter measure. For example, like typical thing, we introduce the SAS tools, so static analysis tools. What will happen if we have never done it? We will have like hundreds of issues in our code. So what should we do then? I mean, we can decide, okay, stop whole development until we fix all of them. Probably will never happen. But we can decide, okay, let's only focus on critical. The other are not important at this moment. Or maybe let's decide that we will only take and work on the new one, and every old one, including the critical, is not important for us at this moment. Or maybe if developer touch some file of code, then if there are some exception, the issues found in the tool, then the developer needs to do refactor. So in this way, we will have like constant refactoring and constant security improve. We can move to the next slide. I've mentioned some tools like SAS, so static app security testing. So this tool that scan the code and find some security vulnerabilities. But we have also this DAS tools, dynamic app security testing tool. So basically, it looks like automated functional tests, although our scripts ran through the app and found the vulnerabilities, found the issues during the runtime. Another type of similar tool is the source composition analysis, especially useful when we have when you have many open source libraries to check the vulnerabilities in the libraries. The case is that you are not required to implement all of the tools. You need to decide which one is the best for you, which one will be the most useful for you, and then implement it. We can go to the next slide. Finally, the tooling. Here on the slide, you can see some sample tooling that we use in our project, in our various projects. Basically, what I would advise approach is not like I will choose the best tool possible on the market. Maybe it's expensive, but the best tool. In such context, I would say, let's use the tool that is good enough for us, and we know how to use it because we have some knowledge, and we know how to automate and use this data from this tool. Like typical issue when we see like we implement the DAS tool, we have beautiful scans, we have beautiful report with that, but we didn't know exactly how to integrate it in our process. We have like a report with like 20, 50 found issues, vulnerabilities, but it doesn't automatically, for example, create us tasks for developers that can add it to the sprint. If we don't have it and we don't know how to prioritize these tasks, then we end with like really alert fatigue for our developers. And I saw also the sample that it led to the situation that development team just changed the settings of the tool. So it's everything that it discovered was stated as a low importance. So they were not, they didn't get tons of tasks from the tool itself. And also the tools, it's not only testing the security, but also if we want to have DevSecOps process, we need to have DevOps process. So we need to have tools to have the CI/CD orchestration. We need to have tools for version control, etc., etc. And one last time, that is worth to remember that DevSecOps process is not only the securing the product that we will develop, but also the securing the process itself and securing our environment. For example, if we create a containerized environment, use some Kubernetes, etc., and we host our app there, then for us, we need to be sure that the application hosted there is secure, but also we need to be sure that the environment is secure. We need to check the vulnerabilities of this environment. And moving to the vulnerabilities, Marek.
Yeah. So now let's look at the operation of DevSecOps. So I mean the continuous cycle of vulnerability management and continuous monitoring, because these two processes work together to keep us secure. So first, let's think about the vulnerability management. So we have to accept two critical facts. One, vulnerabilities are constantly evolving, and the cost of fix them after the product is deployed are very high, and may consume more time and require more effort. And therefore, our goal is to integrate this process directly into our development cycles. We identify vulnerabilities using a wide array of sources, from scanning our source code, checking our dependencies with SBOOM with HBOOM and monitoring global threats that the databases like CVE. And the key outcome here isn't just a finding flaws, but effective incident handling with smart prioritization, allowing us to fix the most critical risk first we identify. But finding and fixing it isn't enough. We need to learn. We need to learn and improve. So this is where continuous monitoring comes in. So this is our feedback engine. So through metric analysis, root cause analysis, and regular reviews, we don't just patch a bug, but we understand why it happened. So this allows us to adapt our processes, identify systemic bottlenecks, and continuously focus on improving our security posture from the ground up. Okay, so moving on to the summary. Okay, we talk about the effective DevSecOps process, but we need to be aware that path to get there is full of potential pitfalls, and being aware of them is a key to avoiding them. So firstly, and I think the most important are cultural and people pitfalls. So this is where most transformation fail, because if your teams see security as a blocker, or for example, you hear the phrases like "that's not my job." So probably in this case, you have a fundamental problem. And this situation may result from many problems, such as, for example, skill gaps, or a culture that punishes mistake instead of learning from them, or without the right mindset, or even the best tools will be ignored. And next, we have process and workflow pitfalls, and it is adopting a checkbox security approach where we run scan just to say we did, but then we ignore impacts and the results. So this happens when our feedback loops are too slow, or it also may happen when we measure the wrong things. And finally, technology and the tooling pitfalls. So choosing the wrong tools that don't integrate into our existing workflows just create more complexity for our developers. And I think David very good explain those situations. So okay, so to wrap up, the biggest dangers aren't just technical; they are about the people, flawed processes, and the wrong tools, and you need to be aware of that. Okay, so all right, so to bring everything together, our journey into DevSecOps can be summarized in 5 keys. First, it all begins with the clarity. So we must understand what needs to be protected and why. This isn't about securing everything equally. It is about identifying our critical assets and focusing our efforts where they will have the greatest impact. Second, and is the foundation, we must build secure by default culture with shared responsibility, and it need to be becoming a part of everyone's job every single day. The third point with that culture taking a lot, and we get the practical. So we need to define our strategy, select the standards that matters to us, and prepare our concrete action plan. And this turns our vision into a roadmap, and then allowing us to start small, prove value, and build a solid base. Fourth, we use the plan to build the automated DevSecOps process, the strategy. And this is where we integrate security tools directly into our CI/CD pipeline. And the goal here is seamless automation and fast feedback, and then empowering developers and to find and fix any issues early as possible. And finally, and this is never finished. We must create a continuous improvement process with monitoring, because many times we talk about this, that trend landscape constantly evolves, and finally we need to measure our progress, learn from our findings, and adapt to stay ahead. Okay, so I think that's all what we prepare for you today. So David, I think we can smoothly switch to the Q&A session and check if any questions appeared.
Yeah, so let's start with some questions, although honestly, I don't see questions. Oh, yes, I can see. Okay, so the first question we see is that who should perform requirements gathering and analysis, and what profiles within the company? So, okay, I can answer this question. Basically, during this analysis and the workshop phases, we should have as much as possible people engaged. But at least we should have someone from security, general security of the company, that knows how the company comes to the product security. But we need to have people from, of course, from the development team. Not only this, at least at the initial meetings, not only the people from the teams that we have chosen for the initial implementation, but also from other teams, for them to be able to provide some maybe information, because we want to do like initial implementation, but also having in mind that we will have to widen it to other teams. And there are also one role that companies tend to forget in this process is this ops people, so operation administrators. We need to have them, because if we will have our application super secure, but the environment won't be secure, then we don't need to invest in the security. It will be really easy to breach our software. Okay, so the next question.
Yeah, I think this question corresponds to me, so maybe I will read and answer. So, okay. How do we secure our supply chain? We use many third-party hardware components and commercial RTOS. And answer to this question, I think this is the core part of your analysis phase. So and you need, during the analysis phase, you need to take a first step and create a software bill of materials, hardware bill of materials, which list every single software library and hardware components and drivers like RTOS, like any other commercial libraries, or even open source libraries, because it works the same. You need to put to those things, and then you can use tools like dedicated tools to scan, created as Boom and HBoom against non-vulnerability databases. And your strategy must then include and integrate your suppliers, and having a contractual plan on what happens when a vulnerability is found in their components. So it means that you need to establish communication channels with them, and prepare incident handling plan, which helps you fast deliver new updates, fast deliver new fixes if any vulnerabilities appear, and if you detect them.
Okay, so we have next, maybe this will be the last question. Who should be involved in vulnerabilities monitoring? If we've got the tool to do that, who should be the one to address the findings? what kind of the profiles? Marek, do you want to answer it? I can also.
So maybe, yeah, you can answer.
Okay, so basically, when we get the vulnerabilities, usually in the company we should have the role of the vulnerability manager that will, as we will have many vulnerabilities. We'll have like critical, major, minor, etc., etc. And from these vulnerabilities, we need to create tasks for the teams. But the initial we should have either someone from security department responsible for vulnerability scans, having the knowledge of the how to interpret those scans, and the second one, it can be our security champion, because we need someone that will assess the findings. Often we will have situation that the findings says that okay, we have some critical vulnerability, but then analyzing it, we see that in our environment, in our current context, it's not really an issue and it won't be something serious for that. So we should have at the beginning someone that is able to understand this security risk. This person should be able to discuss with the development teams to confirm with them that in our current state, it's not like big issue. And the best, we should have someone in the role of vulnerability manager that will be responsible for the fact that if we have some vulnerabilities, he will chase the team to fix them in our agreed time. So we need to have SLA on the vulnerability fixing times.
All right, guys. So thank you, Marek and David, for taking us over this really interesting topic and for your sharing your experience and practical knowledge here. Thanks to everyone who joined us today during this webinar. We hope you leave this session inspired and to bring those principles into your own teams and projects. Thank you for your time and engagement today, for the questions which appeared in our chat. We will be sending the recording over to you and key materials to everyone who registered. If you would like to continue the conversation or learn more how to implement DevSecOps in your organization, you can freely reach out to us directly. We would be more than happy to answer all your questions or to guide you to this journey. After this webinar, we will be sending the survey. If there's anything new or new exciting topic you would like to hear about in our next webinar, please let us know and share this as your suggestion in the survey. You can find my address also in the chat, so really you can easily figure out how to reach us out. Have a great day and see you on the next webinar. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.